So off the bat, I want to say that I completely and totally understand that these two knives are not in the same class. Very, very premium knife, a more budget conscious knife. The reason I'm doing this is because a lot of people have asked me to compare Victorinox knives to higher end knives so they can decide if they actually want to spend the extra money getting a set of premium knives. That's what I'm doing right now. These are both utility knives. This is a 4¼ inch utility knife. This is a 6-inch utility knife by Shun. But you can see they're called utility knives. That's pretty much the end of it. So I'm not going to compare this. Instead, I'm going to use this crazy stupid knife that you guys all know I hate, the Victorinox 5-inch chef's knife, which is essentially a utility knife, like I've mentioned before. Now, it makes no sense as a chef's knife because your knuckles hit the table as you try to do, whatever. Stupid knife, looks like a prison shank. But in this situation, they are very, very similar knives. This is just a little bit shorter. So let's discuss them. Let's discuss the similarities. Knives, they're both sharp, and they have similar cutting angles. 16 degrees, 15 degrees. That's about where it ends. Let's discuss the differences. This is a machine-made stamped knife made in Switzerland. This is a handmade forged knife made in Japan. At the same time, a reinforced plastic handle, a pack-a-wood handle. Makes sense. This is a more premium knife. This is a more budget-conscious knife. On top of that, this uses VG10 steel, which is essentially the gold standard of steel in knife making. This does not. What that means is that this is a softer steel, 58 hardness, 61 hardness. Benefits and positives to both. The benefit to a harder steel is it's much more resilient against dulling out and getting bent out of shape, which means that as you're cutting with it, it's not going to bend and bend and bend and sort of get warped and whatever and wavy, which is a natural thing that happens as you cut. The opposite side of that coin is that if you abuse the knife, if you mess with the knife, if you hit your cutting board with it, do stupid things, try to chip ice with it like as if it's an ice pick, you're going to have to find a way to dissipate that energy through the knife. And since it can't bend, what's going to happen is it's going to chip. And you've probably heard about that many, many times while researching Shuns, is people say, oh, my knife chipped, Shuns suck. It's a moot point. It was caused by them abusing their knife, by them not having good knife skills. The only time that you're going to want a softer knife is if you're in a situation like, let's say, a professional kitchen where you abuse your knives, where you're causing damage to your knives daily, and you just want them to bend and not chip. That's when you're going to want a knife like this. Other differences. This is stamped, so it's made of one piece of steel. This is not. It's VG10 steel, which is then clad in 32 layers of Damascus design steel, which essentially means it's 32 layers on top of each other, sort of waved around each other, of stainless steel, two different types of steel. That does two things. Like I said, number one, it gives it this gorgeous Damascus pattern right on the bottom half of the blade. But number two, it makes it very, very resilient to stains, pitting, and various sort of like acid etching, stuff like that, because it does have essentially stainless steel wrapped around the cutting blade. At the same time, as you've seen already, this has this hammered finish at the top, which aside from being very, very nice to look at, stops things from creating a vacuum on the side of the knife. If you've ever cut a tomato, if you've ever cut a piece of garlic into minced pieces or what have you, and you've seen all of those chunks of garlic or that piece of tomato stuck to your chef's knife, that's what this stops. Now, they both have lifetime warranties, but what I really, really like about the Shuns is they come with free sharpening for life, which means a knife like this that's 6 inches, if you take it to a reputable sharpener, normally they'll charge you about $5 per inch, which means this 6-inch knife to get sharpened is about $30. Whoops, about $30. If you have a Shun, you would just send it to Shun. They would check it out. If it has any defects, they would send you a new one. Otherwise, they would sharpen it for you and mail it back to you for free. That's a solid deal, I think. And it makes the difference between these two knives, while still very, very noticeable, a little bit less of a difference. If you want a little piece of art for your kitchen that also cuts damn well, I think the Shun Premiers are a gorgeous, gorgeous choice. If you want more of a budget-conscious workhorse, would I suggest the Victorinox? I would suggest it if you have really, really, really novice knife skills and you're really trying to learn or you don't really care much about learning and you abuse your knives, or if you work in a kitchen, like I said, where you're going to have to abuse your knives just by default, throw them in the dishwasher, cut on plates, things like that. Otherwise, I would really suggest looking into the Shun Sora, because they are roughly the same price once you take sharpening into account especially, but you get VG10 steel, you get a full tang, you get lifetime sharpening for free, you get it clad with stainless steel, which makes it more resistant to pitting and things like that, etc., etc. So it's really just a better knife to get, especially if you work at home, and at the end of the day, it looks like a piece of art as well. I'll put links down below. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments or concerns, let me know. But otherwise, I will talk to you very, very soon.